Thanks for joining us. You may have heard already about the ballot question that you'll be seeing in November or whenever it is you vote this fall, that would allow the state auditor to conduct a full audit of the state legislature. Well, here to give us an update on how things are going with that ballot question is its chief sponsor, State Auditor Diana DiZoglio. Madam Auditor, welcome.
Great to be back, John. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. I've been covering politics for a long time. Rarely, if ever, have I seen poll numbers like you're getting in support of this ballot question. Most recently, a poll a few weeks back found 64% in favor of giving you the power to audit the legislature, only 5% opposed, 31% undecided. So that might change, but why? How do you account for this public reaction?
Honestly, I think that folks across the board here in the state of Massachusetts, regardless of our party affiliation, want access to information regarding how our tax dollars are being spent, and we are fed up with the excuses as to why that is not the case. We hear all the time nowadays about policies getting voted on behind closed doors. We know that we have one of the least transparent state legislatures in the entire nation, not subject to public records laws, not subject to open meeting laws. Bills were able to get passed in the middle of the night with no recorded roll call votes. That is not the Massachusetts that we know and love. And we need to do better by working families who pay their taxes into the system to make sure that our tax dollars are protected. Folks are fed up with the excuses and they're ready for change.
Is it really in your purview to audit some of the issues you just raised? I mean, you're supposed to conduct performance audits. Is a state agency complying with the rules in the way it spends this money or runs this program? You're talking about the internal operations of the legislature, what's a roll call vote and what isn't. Isn't that beyond your purview?
What is under our purview is to be able to look at, like you said, the processes and the procedures that are occurring in the legislature and to look at the financials as well. And we have to follow a very strict set of guidelines according to our generally accepted government auditing standards, GAGAS for short, which is set by the Government Accountability Office at the federal level. And by following their process, which we're required to do by law and a very strict set of standards, we are able to look at processes, procedures, and overall financials. We are able to look at the rules and, the way in which the body governs itself according to those rules.
I'm interested in that because that is disputed. Your predecessor, Suzanne Bump, wrote in an op-ed in the Globe this past winter, no state auditor has the power to pass judgment on how legislators, for example, select their leaders, assign members to committees or office space, conduct their policy deliberations, or decide what records to make public, end quote. You're saying the opposite.
Well, the former auditor was welcome to her opinion. She did what she wanted to do when she was the state auditor. I campaigned on a platform of bringing the work of the auditor's office to the next level and opening up Beacon Hill. The voters decided to support that platform. I am now your state auditor, and I'm doing what other state auditors do, John. Actually, I was speaking with the Connecticut state auditor recently, who audits the state legislature there so often that it's such a matter of just practice and matter of routine that it barely even makes the press when those audits get done. So this is actually something that was always done. And anyone who says that it wasn't done before, is actually gaslighting the general public, because we have 117 previous audits that our office has found that have been conducted of the state legislature since the inception of the auditor's office in 1849, demonstrating clear precedent. We're just trying to start doing our jobs again. It's unfortunate it wasn't being done in accordance with the law previously.
Welcome back to our conversation with State Auditor Diana DiZoglio. We're talking about her ballot question that would give her the power to fully audit the state legislature. Now, they say you don't have that power, that it's illegal. And they have been resistant to your efforts to do this prior to you filing the ballot question. One thing I'm curious about is the governor's position on some of the issues you're raising here. She's had her own concerns raised about her level or lack of transparency, refusing to fully comply with the public records law, refusing to make public donors to groups that help her, making her travel schedule public. Do you have are those areas that you could see yourself focusing on in an audit?
So we conduct audits of the executive branch. The executive branch up to this point has been cooperating. I will say some entities have dragged their heels longer than we would have liked regarding getting us the documents that we've requested.
For instance?
From those entities. For instance, we are in an audit of these non-disclosures right now. We've been trying to get some of the documentation regarding the NDAs and settlement agreements across state government. And a few of the agencies recently have taken a little bit longer. That will be documented in the report when the report is released. But they have nonetheless operated in a spirit of cooperation and actually continue to cooperate with the audit. So that's my area of interest as the state auditors, to make sure that the executive branch continues to cooperate. I've also long, John, talked about just the need for public records to be applied consistently, the public records law. So as a legislator, I did, co-sponsor legislation to require that the legislature and the executive branch be subject to the same public records laws that other state entities are subject to, and I still support that.
So you're not a fan of some of the ways the governor conducts her business, are you?
I hope that the governor's offices continue to comply with our audits. That is my concern. Like I said, there has been a little bit more heel dragging than I would like to see.
Okay.
And I hope that, we continue to get the compliance that is, something that will help us to do our jobs.
Well, as I said, Auditor, there's been a lot of resistance to what you're doing, sniping at you for doing it. When you testified before a legislative committee hearing back in March, you called at least some of that resistance, quote, deeply, deeply disturbing, end quote. Why do you feel that way? I mean, maybe they feel you're just grandstanding for political reasons.
Here's why I feel that way. When the legislative leadership team resists an audit by our office, they are not resisting me personally or anyone that works in my office. Who they are resisting and denying access to is everybody right at home, you, the taxpayer. It's you they're telling that they don't want to have access to how they're spending our tax dollars. That is disturbing on many different levels, John. And to have this continued pushback, to have the Constitution raised as, one of their concerns about, the constitutionality of this. The Constitution is there to protect we the people, with a government that is all times required to be accountable to us, we the people. And what they are doing is they are saying, oh, no, the Constitution's there to protect the politicians from having to, do what we're supposed to do. It's absolutely ridiculous. The taxpayers are not fooled. Folks at home are smarter than that.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I think a lot of our viewers at one time or another have interacted with local governments, say, and they see that the local Board of Selectmen, for instance, will say, well, we're going to have to go into executive session now to discuss a personnel matter or something that they are legally allowed to keep off the public record. And they do it privately. Should that practice end, or is this not an absolute principle you're articulating?
So I'm not able to audit municipalities. That's not something that's under my purview. I will say the difference between how municipalities operate and how the state legislature operates is that those municipalities are at least subject to the public records laws and to open meeting laws. So there is a much higher standard set, even for those municipalities where maybe there are imperfections, maybe there are transparency challenges that do go on, but there are significantly more challenges happening within the state legislature where we get an F ranking with regards to transparency. We should not be getting the least transparent state legislative ranking in the entire nation, John. That's unacceptable. We can do better. And is this audit going to solve all of the problems with transparency on Beacon Hill? Certainly not. It's just one way that we can get increased access to what's happening with our tax dollars. And up on Beacon Hill, it is just an audit. It's not an FBI investigation to set expectations. We've heard all sorts of accusations about what people think this may or may not be. It's an audit. It's an audit.
I got to wrap it up, but
Sure.
I should have mentioned this off the top. Before you became auditor, you served in both the House and the Senate. Which is least transparent?
You know, I think that both have challenges. I can say that the Senate hides it better regarding transparency challenges. Both definitely have challenges regarding transparency and accountability that need to be worked on. It's my hope that both will operate with our office in a spirit of collaboration to help make government work better for those we all seek to serve.
64-5. If you lose this, it'll be the biggest political upset ever.
Folks at home, you know, I have faith in the taxpayers of Massachusetts. Like I said, this is a nonpartisan issue. This is about everybody getting access to what's happening with our tax dollars. It's about good government. So I do hope folks at home will support this initiative.
Thank you for coming on to talk about it. We'll be checking in with you again before Election Day. Good luck.
Thank you so much.